Hello loves and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be talking about Maat. Okay, this is the next episode video in the Kemetic spirituality series, where we're going to be breaking down everything Kemetic spirituality. And so today we're going to be talking about Maat, which is one of the Netarus who is very, very, very important, and really holds the standard for quite a bit of things. So we are going to get in that. Before we get started though, do not forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Welcome to the OkaniLuna YouTube channel, and definitely if you want to subscribe, if you want to become a Patreon member, all of those links, or channel member, all of those links will be down below. Now, with that being said, we're gonna get started. So Maat, as many of the Netars is one of the daughters of Ra. Okay, and Maat specifically is in charge of divine order, balance, okay, justice. Her name means truth. So when you are living in Maat, for example, you are living in truth. And Maat, by the way, if you see me looking down, it's just because I'm looking at my notes. Maat is in charge of divine order, justice, balance, and cosmic law. So there are rules and regulations, and there is a focus on balance of the spirit, balance of your soul, of your journey on each lifetime, which, yes, we will be talking about, past lives within the Kemetic spirituality series. Y'all stay tuned for that video. That's going to be fun. But there's a reason why Maat is so important within these lifetimes and within your human experience, your soul experience, as it is anchored down on the earth. And that is because if you are in balance, if you are not corrupted, you are generally seen as you are in good foundation, good standing. You're able to reach a level of almost immortality, which is something else that we'll talk about in a different video. But Maat is it's very, very important because Maat affects everyone. While there were temples for different Netarus throughout Lower and Upper Egypt, Maat was definitely one of the foundational Netarus that affected every pharaoh, and every citizen had to be under. The pharaohs themselves were seen as having to enforce Maat and having to live in Maat in order for them to be able to remain in their power. So there is a huge emphasis on law and order, but not just in the regular law and order within domestic disputes. She rules over that as well, but specifically all types of justice, all types of balance, all types of laws. She is seen as wearing an ostrich feather on her head, and she is many times depicted with the wings, okay, that she has as well. And sometimes she, depending on which story, sometimes she works with Isis, for example, Osset, and some of the other Netarus. Sometimes she'll be working, or some of the other Netarus, like for example, Osset has taken some of her roles as well during certain time periods. Osset was then, pushed into the winged, and that's why sometimes you'll find some of the statues of Osset having the wings when it should really be Maat, but that's because through time it ended up happening. So there's that. Animals that she is connected to, ostrich specifically, but also all birds. So you guys can put feathers on her altar, as well as scales as well. Crystals that she's also connected to, amethyst for vision and clarity, jade for protection, warding off evil spirits, immortality, wealth, and it's a stone of the heart. Azurite, balance and strength. Turquoise for protection, luck, and peace. Clear quartz for protection, health, and an amplifier. Okay. Offerings, or orris root. This one was always used for perfume specifically. Papyrus, frankincense, sandalwood, beer, wine, water. You can put the scales up there as well. And if you wanted to do this, you can also put an ib, which is like a heart. So if you go to like, you know, the butcher shop, and you wanted to put a heart offering for her there, you can if you wanted to. Again, that's optional, you don't have to, but I'm just saying. If you wanted to put, you like get a scale within your altar space and put the feather, like an ostrich feather specifically, and a heart, or you can get like a crystal heart kind of thing. You can also do that. You can put that in her scales, put it on the altar. She loves that as well. Anyway, those are her offerings. She is seen as Shu's sister, and the wife of Tehuti, which is Thoth, by the way, to those who don't know the Kemetic names for them. And so it is said that Tehuti was the one who wrote down Maat's laws down, which is where we get the laws of Maat, which are the laws that you're supposed to be following in order for your soul to remain pure, for it to remain balanced, for it to remain in justice and in truth specifically. Like living in your truth is something that's very much Maat. She's connected to all of the basics of life, the cycles of nature, just things that happen in cycles. Looking through my notes, sorry. That includes the stars, the planets, the way that things are moving and shifting. There is a reflection between what, you know, kind of like the as above, so below, very similar in that regard. Wait, I'm trying to make sure I didn't skip anything. In the Book of the Dead, which is the book of coming forth by day, it is her feather that every heart is being weighted up against to see if they are in balance. That is her scales, it is her feather that everybody's heart is being weighed against. And so definitely works within different areas. And if you can kind of understand it, works with definitely all areas of the Kemetic spirituality universe, really. And you're able to kind of work with her in a lot of multidimensional ways. But there are a lot of times where she is called upon for different things as well. You can definitely work with her when it comes to ritual and spell work and stuff like that. And especially when it comes to bringing balance to your life, which is what spells are supposed to do. Especially in those times, you would do spells, you would perform spells in order to bring balance or correct something. So she is called upon for those type of spell work. She is called upon for that type of workings. But I cannot stress this enough. In order to work with Maat, like if you want to make her like the one specific Netaru that you specifically work with, because everybody has different ones. Some people have multiple, some people only have one. It's up to you. Not going to tell you what to do, but if you are going to work with Maat, just like I said when it comes to working with Bast, okay, with her you need to have a cat, right? With Maat, you need to live in Maat. You need to live in your truth. You need to make sure that you are in divine balance. You work with her daily by keeping yourself in balance, by specifically making sure that you are living in your truth, making sure that you are following her laws, making sure that you are not, you know, committing specific quote unquote sins, right? So not lying, just being deceitful, etc. We're gonna get to her laws on another video or videos, because I'm planning on breaking them down one by one so we can just kind of do a deep dive on each law, its importance, how you should be working with it, etc., etc. But it's really, really important to understand that in order to work with Maat, you need to be living in Maat, in your truth. Which means that, you know, like if you're a very deceptive person, if you're malicious, if you're someone who's all over the place, who's messy, who's petty, who wants to harm other people, who wants to be out here doing like the craziest of things, the relationship is not going to work. I'm just going to let you know right now. It's not going to work, y'all. It's not going to work. Because Maat is cosmic order. You do not want to work with Maat if you are not trying to get your life in order. Maat is not one of, I mean, all of the Netarus are not one to be messed with, right? But I feel like Maat is probably, I'm not trying to demonize her in any type of way, but Maat is definitely one of the scariest ones, personally, to me, from my perception. And I'm not trying to demonize her. I just mean that, you know, y'all know, if y'all been on my channel for a minute, I'm a Capricorn, okay? So I'm all about karma, balance, and, you know, being grounded and having that good foundation. I live on that path, right? But when it comes to Maat is very much embodies all types of justice, very much like karma in many ways, in a way that you can get punished if you are out of not living in your truth, right? So if you are working with the Netru that literally rules that thing, you better not, you know, you better not, you know, cross the line, you know, you better not, because you can definitely end up causing a lot of chaos for yourself. And, you know, I'm all about setting yourself up for success. So, you know, I wouldn't want y'all to be set up for not being successful. But 1000% working with Maat is not a joke. It's not for the faint of heart. And again, I'm not trying to demonize her in any way, because Maat also rules the cycles of life, being imbalanced in life. That means, you know, being in joy, being in laughter, being in love, being in all of the types of cycles of life, letting there be balance and justice and living in your truth. That means that if you need to tell someone that you care about them, living in your truth and doing so. If you, instead of lying to them, like within Maat, like that's a great example. Like, let's say you're the type of person that like would have had that crush on that person for like 2 years or something without telling them. My aunt would have been like, if you don't say what you need to say, like, go live in your truth. Go live in your truth. You need to be honest. You need to be, I feel like my aunt is for some blunt people. You got to be a little blunt to work with my aunt, because it requires you to remain in your truth. Like, she literally rules the truth. Her name means truth. So if you're not about living in your truth, if you're not about that life, you know, maybe not the right Netru for you, but trust and believe that she is very foundational to working with all of the other Netrus as well, because her laws are foundational for pretty much everybody. Everybody in the time had you had to be following the rules. If you didn't follow the rules, if you broke the rules, it would corrupt your soul in many ways. And again, I don't want to get into past life work right now, because I feel like that should be in a whole separate video when it comes to Kemetic spirituality. But there is a specific reason why you were, you know, told to stay in balance. If you stayed in balance, then there would be nothing to heal. So think about it this way. In ancient times, they believed that you definitely had a ton of lifetimes that you were supposed to live through. Now, the less, you know, the more balance that you had in your lifetimes, the less that you would have to heal. Therefore, you wouldn't really necessarily have to correct something. Your soul would still remain in balance. So it was like you being able to live a good life, you being able to live in a life that is your truth, and maintaining that in just kind of keeping the cycle of just like, hey, I'm just living on my soul's journey, I'm living this life. Sorry. But when it comes to, if your soul is corrupted, you get punished. Okay. And so again, we'll get into all of that in a separate video, but there's a reason why there's an emphasis on, it's almost like a little bit of a purity complex, but maintaining yourself in Maat, living in Maat, living in your truth, living in balance, living in justice, and following her rules. Her rules are not restrictive. Her rules keep order. If you look at any indigenous culture, which I will remind everybody that this would be an indigenous religion and practice, and peoples of those times, right? But all indigenous tribes had a kind of set of rules and orders that everybody had to follow. The second that you broke those type of rules, it would impact not only you, but it can affect other people negatively, and it could kind of start problems where there shouldn't be any. And so the pharaohs themselves were supposed to be emphasizing Ma'at to the public, to those that they were in charge of, to communicate Ma'at. They took upon this role of living through Ma'at and making sure that everybody understood the consequences of not living in Ma'at. And so it's really layered, y'all. Like, yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, working with Ma'at is definitely, like, if you're looking at all of the different Netarus that we have already spoken about, which rule over different things, Ma'at is the one that's like, okay, we're going to balance, we're gonna just look at everything, we're gonna balance things out. So really, really great to work with for correcting certain things, to bring justice to certain things. But again, if you're gonna ask her to bring justice on something, you better be on the right side. You better be on the right side. Like, you better not be doing some petty court case kind of spell work with her, because it's kind of like, if you're trying to just get some, like, for example, like, let's say you did the crime, right? But you're trying to work with her to, like, dismiss it somehow. No, she rules justice. So don't think that you are excused just because you work with her from who do you think this is? No, she rules justice. She rules balance. She rules like cosmic order and the law. That includes the law. That includes modern day law as well. So you can't, you know, especially when it comes to spell work, don't ask her to do things that you know that she's gonna be like, no, because you don't deserve it, because you're not living in your truth. Be very mindful with working with her. You do not want to come across as, you know, someone who's disingenuous and, like, you know, because then it's just not gonna, you're just I just don't recommend it. Okay, take Ma'at very, very seriously. Ma'at is a very, very serious Netaru, because she has a lot of responsibility and she is maintaining the order. She is maintaining the order. She is the law, both of your soul's experience on the earth and also when you pass. So it's really important to not, you know, come at it disrespectfully or start doing kind of random spell work where, you know, you're asking her for something that you really don't deserve. Great for balancing and working soul spell work, working on different type of like, let's say you wanted to do a lot of soul healing. Let's say you're trying to balance your scales, past life work, for example, stuff like that. Great thing to do with Ma'at if you wanted to do a lot of healing work. Great thing to do if you wanted to bring justice, like if you were wronged and you know, you are in the right and that is your truth. Great to work with for that as well. But just be very mindful of living in Ma'at while you're working with her, because if you step out of Ma'at, if you start working with her and you step out of your truth, you will get reprimanded for it. You best believe. So yeah, I cannot stress it enough. I'm not trying to like scare y'all about her. Ooh, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to scare y'all about her, but I want y'all to be realistic, because the Netarus are not something to be just played with. They're not toys. They're not action figures. They are very, very serious. This is why I always say Sekhmet can kill you or she can heal you, because she rules both. Because it's facts, you know, you don't want to come at them sideways, because they're very, very important beings. So make sure that if you are trying to live in Ma'at, that's what you're going to dedicate yourself to. You can't really come out of Ma'at when you start working with Ma'at. I'm just saying. So just be very mindful of that, you know. They're not action figures. They're not trading cards. Treat them respectfully and make sure that you're living through their lessons, through the things that they rule over, because that's something that's going to be very important in your journey with them to maintain. Okay. So yeah, I hope that this video was helpful. I hope that you guys got all of the messages that you needed from this. Definitely don't forget to check out the rest of the Kemetic spirituality series, which will be linked up here. Thank you guys for all the love and support. I will see you on the next video. You have a blessed day.